Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about monster exchanging for Veroah, Aljae, and Norza Kitties from the Sanrio collab. So, the monster exchange system is a brilliant quality of life addition because it lets us players exchange excessive duplicates of various monsters into something more meaningful. And the cost of these trades will range from 4 6-star Godfest exclusives all the way to 5 7-stars. And in the case of the Sanrio collab or Hello Kitty collab, it's only going to cost us 5 6-star Godfest exclusives, which is quite great because many trades nowadays tend to want the 7 stars, and generally speaking, 7-star Godfest exclusives are much more valuable. It'd be much more difficult to part ways of them, I feel, overall, because they tend to have more valuable or usable evolution forms. And I strongly recommend you always keep at least 2 copies of any given card, because you never know when Gung Ho is going to give split evolutions or multiple viable forms that is going to make you want to have at least 2 copies of that given card. A great example of this is Valkyrie Seal, who went from essentially 0 to hero when her red and blue evolution was released. So with that being said, I want to take a deeper look at the kitties that are available. So the first kitty that I want to draw attention to is Veroah Kitty. And Veroah Kitty is the absolute best at what she does. She is able to function as the best solo mode intermediate difficulty farming leader because she has the 1.3 times egg drop rate boost, she has 3 dungeon bonus awakenings, and she also has 1 million auto follow attack when you're paired with a friend. So that means you're able to match a single combo, clear the given floor, while having a much higher chance of any egg actually dropping. And she is the superior option to the 2 others, such as Gung Ho Knight and the regular Rare Machine Veroah. And why she is superior is because she has more dungeon bonus awakenings. More dungeon bonus awakenings increase the chances of any drop actually happening, which means you can save stamina, can save time. It's just a better thing overall. Furthermore, they have a 3-turn base cooldown, which lets them easily inherit any kind of button over top of them with relative ease. So if you don't have Gung Ho Knight and you don't have regular Veroah, I strongly encourage you to monster exchange for this particular card. And even if you do have Veroah or maybe Gung Ho Knight, if you're really wanting to like min-max optimize yourself, Veroah Kitty is still the superior choice overall. Now, of course, who won't make use of this? Well, if you don't actually play those intermediate dungeons, like the very lowest level difficulty stuff to get these tickets, then this obviously doesn't have much applications. Furthermore, if you only play with yourself on co-op for farming these types of contents, this type of leader skill actually doesn't do anything. So as a whole, Veroah Kitty is the best at what she does. It is a valuable aspect for what she does, and I do recommend monster exchange for her, especially if you are lacking the alternatives. Next is Aljae Kitty. And Aljae Kitty is one of the strongest leaders in the game at this point in time. There are transforming cards, so once they do transform, they have immense personal damage with 4 5 attribute awakenings, and they also have a 3-turn base cooldown. And that means if you have another Aljae Kitty as a sub, so you own a leader, you own a sub, you have a friend, you have 100% uptime on this active skill. And this active skill provides you with 1 turn of void, damage void, which you need for rainbow-based teams. You get to increase Aljae Kitty's damage cap limit to 3 billion per attribute. So this is a big deal for transforming cards who have huge amounts of personal damage, because normally all those personal damage awakenings kind of go to waste to a certain extent because, well, she's only going to do 2.14 billion per attribute. With this damage cap increase, it's giving you a couple billion more damage output overall. Will this make a difference? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm always under the belief that more is more, so it's a beneficial thing overall. And in addition to the damage cap increase and void damage void, it unlocks the whole board and changes the entire board to only fire, water, wood, light, and dark. There are no hard orbs present, and you may think that is kind of dangerous, but their leader skill will change your mind. So their leader skill has great multipliers. It's mostly focused on it's all focused on damage reduction, so it means that you don't have to worry about like your RCV values as much, or health values potentially to a certain extent, as long as gravity's not being such a big concern. And you tap into all of these benefits when you match 5 or more colors, which is great because your active skill guarantees you at least 3 of every given color because it does unlock the board, so there's no possible way you can get screwed over. Furthermore, you will also gain 15 times RCV as healing when you match orbs. Now, this is a big deal because Aljae Kitty does have a large RCV stat. With pluses, with weapon assists, this stat could be quite meaningful. And with dual leaders, you are going to be auto-healing a significant amount of health. And because your health multiplier is, well, 1, there's no health multiplier, restoring however much health you have is a reasonably feasible task. And this is great because you don't have to worry about matching hard orbs whatsoever. You can just use Aljae Kitty's active skill and blast your way through content. And in theory, because you're not matching hard orbs and they're being replaced by colored orbs, you are technically dealing more damage overall. So it creates an incredibly easy to use leader that doesn't have to deal with as many mechanics as you normally would. You ignore damage voids so everyone can be double damage capped. You unlock the board so you're always going to have this activation guaranteed. And you have auto follow attack and bonus combos and a huge amount of effective health. It's just an incredibly strong leader overall. And I do recommend you monster exchanging for one Aljae Kitty just to actually have access to them as a leader. Now, the biggest drawback of Aljae Kitty is, well, ideally to a certain extent you want to have a second copy so you can run one as a sub to have permanent uptime. But you can get away with other options. You do have to make sure you have all 5 colors every single time, but if you have either permanent uptime on a spinner active skill or you have access to Dark Raw Dragon, you are able to basically guarantee yourself a way to have all 5 colors every single turn. And when you have all 5 colors every single turn, life is going to be much easier. So I do recommend trading for one. Getting a second one comes down to, like, do you think you're going to enjoy this team playstyle? Maybe try it out with one first, see if you like it, and then if you feel like getting a second one is going to improve your life overall. And then the last card I want to draw attention to is Norza Kitty. So Norza Kitty is a blob style card with 2 blob boost awakenings. They have 2 rows, they have combo orb, and they have super auto heal awakenings. And you may think, well, what's the point of these super auto heal awakenings? Well, remember how Aljae Kitty was auto healing? You don't have to worry about hard orbs. If you have enough Norza Kitties on your team, you can kind of do something similar. Now, where can this be applicable is kind of like comparing it to Leo and Shiva Dragon teams. Shiva Dragons are able to spawn 2 rows of fire orbs, and Leos can, in theory, create some hard orbs, but healing is pretty terrible for that given team. Now, Norza Kitty's active skill also makes 2 rows of water orbs, and you may in turn overwrite those hard orbs. They may just not be available. So with these auto heal awakenings and enough Norza Kitties on your team, and potentially even auto heal weapon assists, you are able to heal through content while swiping your way through. Furthermore, if you have a total of 4 Norza Kitties on your team, so 1 leader for yourself, 2 subs, and a friend, you can have 100% uptime on this 4-turn cooldown active skill, which clears all unmatchable, all awoken skill binds. It unlocks the board, changes the top and second from the top row to water orbs. So, in theory, all you need to do is touch an active skill and swipe. You've bypassed many different mechanics. With the combo orbs, you're going to have, a larger combo count to overcome combo shields. You have always the way to clear bind, awoken bind, etc. And as long as you bring a solution to damage void and absorptions, you've technically covered the vast majority of mechanics. Furthermore, movement time debuffs, RCV debuffs, hazard orbs, none of this really matters that much. Even blind orbs when you think about it, because you're just mindlessly swiping away. So Norza Kitty can definitely smash their way through a large amount of content, but getting a whole team of them is definitely an expensive venture. And potentially sprinkling in other orb changers may be a better solution overall. And Norza Kitty can still function as a great cleric as well. In terms of other possible options, you can use the Kingdom card that creates 2 columns of water orbs, or Ultraman Z, who creates a Z of water orbs. Basically, these 2 cards generate enough water orbs that you are able to have a continuous flow. And what you would do is actually use your first kitty, the 2-turn cooldown card, second kitty, 2-turn cooldown card, repeat the process. So you can, in theory, have this uptime, but again, you don't get that benefit of that auto, you won't have as much auto healing, so you may have to actually, match hard orbs like an absolute barbaric savage, but that is just kind of the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Yes, multiple Norzas are ideal, but it's an expensive trade. Picking up one Norza and having orb changers like this, if you only had a single copy of these orb changers, maybe this is a way for you to potentially utilize those blob swipe teams that you've been eyeing for a while now and you couldn't quite piece something together. But for the most part, Norza Kitty is definitely a strong option overall. Her biggest appeal is the mindlessness aspect and the fact that she does unlock the board while having a cleric function. does make her have quite a bit of extra zest. And with that being said, let me know what you think about the Sanrio collab or Hello Kitty collab in the comments down below. Do you think any of these cards are worth trading for? And if you did trade for these cards, what was your logic or rationale behind that process? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.